told you. I told you. I told everyone. I told you. I don't want to say that I effing told you because it's early in the video, but I told you. Hello everybody, welcome to Austin Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and drop a like on this video. I am trying to hit 100k subscribers on this channel by the end of the year, so your subscription will be much appreciated. Also drop a like on this video, only takes 1 second and makes a massive difference. I told you and told everybody else on Twitter, and I believe I even made a second channel video on the fact that the Chicago Bulls were going to not be a bad defensive team. Now, even then, I would not have guessed that they'd be as good defensively as they have been, but I'm also not entirely surprised that they've been a good defensive team, being that the Bulls last year were 12th in defensive rating, and I actually believe they were cracking the top 10 with Nikola Vucevic on the roster after the Wendell Carter Jr. trade. And then, in this offseason, they add multiple good defenders, Derek Jones Jr., Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, Javonte Green breaks out this year, Patrick Williams is really good defensively, Troy Brown's pretty solid, Tony Bradley's pretty good, he's great today, and the narrative is that the Bulls are going to be a great offense and a terrible defense. I never understood that. And then, oh, what do you know? Bulls are currently 4th in defensive rating before this Utah Jazz game, and I would imagine they stay in roughly the same spot after this game as they held the Utah Jazz, who, mind you, are one of the better offensive teams in the league because of their three-point shooting, held them to 99 points, which is actually going to bring the Bulls' defensive rating down a little bit. So, I fucking told you. I'm not saying all of you disagreed with me. As a matter of fact, probably most of you didn't. But I don't care. I'm going to be petty about the ones who did. I told you guys that the Bulls would be a good defensive team, or at least not a bad one. And here we are. Now, the main crux of the argument against the Bulls early this season, before I went into this whole I told you so shit, is that they didn't play great teams. And, you know, that's true. The Knicks game they played the other day, they did play good defense against the Knicks, but at the same time, even though the Knicks have been good offensively early this year, they don't have the reputation of being a good offensive team. The Jazz have been one of the best offensive teams of the last 2 or so seasons because of their three-point shooting, and they didn't even crack 100 points today. So, pretty good fucking defense on the Bulls' part. There were some fouls that they got away with, to be completely honest, but for the most part, great defense from the Bulls. Held Donovan Mitchell to 33% from the field. Overall, the Jazz shot 29% from 3 on 38 attempts. I will say they did miss a couple of bunnies that, like 3-point wise, that they normally would make. And that's probably what ended up being the difference maker in this game. Although at the same time, you can make the same argument for Nikola Vucevic. But regardless, a lot of easy opportunities that they did miss. But even then, the Bulls, they played some great fucking defense, and I am very happy with this team. Talking about the defense, you know, in terms of personnel stuff, Javonte Green was good. I've noticed he has a tendency to foul a lot, and that's concerning me, but there was Derek Jones Jr. minutes. Derek was fantastic. He got 3 blocks in 20 minutes, and one of those led to a transition dunk for himself. Tony Bradley with 2 blocks in 13 minutes. He blocked Hassan Whiteside twice. One of them was extremely impressive. And it's just great defense. I'm so happy with this team right now. Ayo Dosunmu, Ayo, whichever one it is. I don't understand why he plays so much, because he doesn't do things bad. He doesn't really do things. Like, he's not making mistakes a lot. They're happening occasionally. He's a rookie, what can you expect? But he's not really doing much. So I feel like his minutes, like he played 21 minutes today, I imagine those are just going to end up being Kobe White minutes when Kobe White comes back. And me, the staunch anti-Kobe White guy, actually think Kobe White's going to be pretty fucking good on this team, because he fills a role that is like the only kind of role that I can see with the Bulls in terms of what they need, is like an offensive spark plug off of the bench who is primarily an off-ball guy. That's Kobe White down to a T. So I'm hoping he will be there. In terms of the Utah Jazz, again, they did miss some three-pointers. Jordan Clarkson played like shit. He started off 0 for 10. He was much better in the second half. And Donovan Mitchell was actually great in the first half and then kind of got shut down in the second half. Part of that was Vucevic started stepping up in the pick and roll more. And Lonzo got his matchup instead of Zach LaVine a decent amount, which Zach is a fine one-on-one defender, but there were a couple instances of him getting burned. Speaking of Vucevic, he's actually been a big factor in the Bulls' defense being good, which you wouldn't expect because Vucevic is not good defensively in the traditional sense. He's actually kind of like a better version of what Nikola Jokic does defensively, whereas what Jokic does just kind of makes it to where he's not bad. I think Vucevic has actually been good defensively this year, even though I think normally he's just not bad. What he has been doing is he's been stepping up in the pick and roll, but where he has been thriving is really defending the pick and roll period, where he's able to step up on the ball handler to prevent the drive or the pull up or the step back or whatever, but also managing to maintain that while sticking close enough to the roll man to where there's no easy pass for the roll guy. And also in doing so, he's allowing the defender of the ball handler to recover. And oftentimes, because there's a little bit of a late recovery from Vucevic, just as he's trying to get back to the roll man, they try to make the pass happen, and Vucevic is playing the pass every time. Now, that's resulted in some easy opportunities at the rim. That's kind of the gamble that you take with that type of play style. But for the most part, Vucevic is covering the space that he needs to cover for both the ball handler and the roll man, and he's playing the passing lane to create plays defensively. So he's been good defensively, and I appreciate that. Even DeMar DeRozan, to his credit, has been at the right place at the right time more often than not, which is like a huge part of defense. Speaking of DeRozan, great offensive performance from him. Zach LaVine was kind of this game, and then he came alive in the fourth quarter, and that was really the deciding factor in this one. Vucevic couldn't score the fucking ball. I just said all that nice stuff about him defensively, but he was 4 for 19 in this one, and overall this season he is shooting horribly. I'm hoping that will change, but right now he's only averaging 16 points, and if I can find his stats on the terrible NBA app, 40% from the field, 32% from three, even 72% from the free throw line. Like, his shot's just not fucking dropping so far. And honestly, the Bulls would spike up in offensive rating. Like, they're easily a top 10 offense if Vucevic is just hitting his open shots. It's not even a matter of, like, some people were like, Vucevic might just fall down the pecking order. He's getting just as many shots as Zach and DeRozan. He shot the same amount of shots as Zach and only 3 less than DeRozan today. And he's just missing them. So many open jump shots. It's ludicrous how many open shots he has. But hit a three-pointer and got a really nice drive on Rudy Gobert to close the game, and that was as the Jazz started to make a little bit of a late comeback as their shot started to drop, which I had feared the entire game was that their shot would be would start going in, and then suddenly, oh fuck, it's not so easy anymore. And that's exactly what happened, but they still managed to keep their head above water. That said, I didn't actually clarify what other games I had watched outside of the Bulls games today, so I watched basically 90% of Pistons Magic, which apparently was a closer game than I thought, because I stopped watching with like 3 minutes left because the Pistons had like a 15-point lead. It ended up being just a 7-point win, but whatever, they still won the game. And then I also watched the fourth quarter of Pacers versus, where is this fucking score? Pacers versus Raptors, and that was it. Yeah, I think I didn't tune anything else. I did want to tune into the Cavs-Suns game, which is currently being played right now. I'm really tired, and I should add this little caveat before I talk about these other two games. I have not been doing these videos in the frequency that I want, and I've not been watching the amount of games that I would like to, because moving and all of the stuff that has gone into that, all of the decorating and the going to stores constantly and shit like that, it has made me very physically exhausted by the end of the day, and it's made it hard for me to watch these games and give them the amount of attention that I would like and put out these videos. So hopefully, as that is coming to a close, as I've got almost everything done at this point, I'll be able to calm down and get into my job in the normal flow that I would like. So just, that's the reason why there's been some infrequency and a couple of videos where I'm just talking about the Bulls. Don't want to be doing that. Next Cavs game that's on, I'm going to watch that game unless something comes up. And because I really want to catch Evan Mobley, because everything I've seen, all the highlights and stuff, and everything I've heard, just fantastic. My take about the guy probably struggling offensively to start his career hasn't really worked out. He's been fucking great on both ends of the floor. But let's talk about, speaking of rookies, the Pistons versus Magic game. I obviously watched this game because it's Cade Cunningham's debut. He didn't play good. He also didn't play a lot of minutes, and I imagine that was because of some minutes restriction from the fact that he's been recovering from an injury. But 1 for 8 from the field, had one really nice dish to Isaiah Stewart. I didn't see what his other assist was, but overall, he just didn't really, didn't feel like a threat. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't taking bad shots, but there weren't a lot of, I don't know how to put this. Like, there wasn't the guard offense coming easy thing. I'm articulating this terribly. Like, offense did not come easy to him, and it wasn't just that he missed the shot, it's that he didn't look all that comfortable out there. That said, 19 minutes in his NBA debut, recovering from an injury. Am I gonna overreact to that? I'm not even gonna react to it, period. Moving on immediately. Outside of that, on the Pistons end of things, it was a pretty standard game from them. I'm starting to get concerned about Saddiq Bey. Bro shot 17 shots in this game. He's averaging 17 points per game right now, but I'm gonna check just to be sure. This is my 3rd Pistons game this season, which is high for me for a team that's not good. But he's shooting 42%, but he is shooting 32% from 3. I imagine his true shooting percentage is bad, but honestly, his field goal percentage being above 40 is surprising to me for the volume of shots that he is taking. But, you know, he's being a little ambitious in terms of what he's doing with the ball in his hands, which I can appreciate a little bit, but at the same time, maybe chill it out a little bit. Killian Hayes can't fucking score, and that's real depressing because his defense and playmaking is fantastic, but he cannot score the ball. And I'm hoping this will end up being, I was hearing them talk about it on Let's Keep It a Buck. I'm hoping this will end up being a scenario with my boy Nick on the episode where it's like a Lonzo thing where it takes him a second for his scoring and his shooting and offense to come around. But once it does, that will make the other parts of his game that much more valuable. Not good today. Outside of that, Kelly Olynyk was really good. There were a couple of nice drives by him. Pretty typical Kelly Olynyk stuff. Trey Lyles has a surprisingly good game every time I watch him. He did it against the Bulls. He was 3 for 8 for today, which was not great, but he scored 12 points in 12 minutes. And then on the Magic side of things, Cole Anthony's offense came really natural. He hit a big pull-up 3 over Kelly Olynyk, and I know he's been pretty impressive offensively this year. He's averaging 18 points right now, along with 7 rebounds, because he had that random, like, 16 rebound game the other day. But his offense came naturally. The Mo Bamba and Wendell Carter backcourt is interesting. They're running Wendell at the power forward position, which is something that he claimed to want when he was in Chicago, when I was very adamantly like, nah, bro, you're a center. But, you know, when he's playing with Bamba, they're both guys who are Bamba more so than Wendell, capable of shooting threes. They did go 3 for 3 combined today. He had one really nice assist to Bamba, and Bamba overall this year has been a good bit better than he's ever been at any other point in his career. He is currently averaging 13 points, 9 rebounds, shooting 45% from 3 on 4 attempts a game and 53% from the field. Also getting 2 blocks a game, and he's doing this in 33 minutes a game, or 32 minutes a game. Yeah, if he is going to be good rim protector, good at covering a lot of space on the floor with his length and his athleticism, and then a 13-9 guy, like, that's a very fucking valuable player. Like, Mo Bamba, I think, is going to carve himself out to some sort of role in the NBA and be in the league for a while. It's just he's not going to quite live up to Rudy Gobert with the jump shot, which is what a lot of people were calling him when he was being drafted. Outside of that, not too much to say this one. I was taking a look at Franz Wagner and Mo Wagner, who both had good games here. Mo hit a couple of threes in succession, and Franz, I know, has had a lot of people talking about him on Twitter and stuff like that, especially my Magic friend, Not Zay. Shout out to him. Couple of threes, couple of nice drives. He's one of those players. It's like a, how do I put this? Like, what's his fucking name? Neman Bjelica and Danilo Gallinari, who, these guys who, like, they don't do like moves that are typically that impressive, but they just know how to score and, you know, play basketball simply but effectively. I think he falls into a category, at least that's the vibe I get from watching him. And then last but not least, well, actually definitely least, this Pacers Raptors game. I watched the fourth quarter because it was tied in the third. I watched the last like 2 minutes of the third quarter. I didn't have a lot to take away from this one. Scotty Barnes once again had a good game. He had a couple of nice drives. One where he got an offensive rebound after missing bad against Sabonis. Scotty Barnes, I fucking love Scotty Barnes. He's so good already, and I honestly think the sky is the limit for the guy. Like, to come into the league at his age with his length and body and be as good defensively and scoring and passing wise, like, dude, there is so much potential in that on that building block from the get-go. That is a lot to start with, and like, I'm seeing Giannis comparisons with Scotty Barnes, and I'm not like immediately no, which I'm not saying yes, but I'm not immediately no, which I am 99.9% of the time otherwise. So that says something about how good Scotty has been. Outside of that, OG tried some stuff in this quarter offensively that didn't really work. Fred VanVleet had a nice shot late. And on Indiana's side of things, Sabonis hit a 3, and I know he has been trying threes more. Looking at this box score, he went 1 for 7, so not a good look there. Sabonis got a really nice block. Chris Duarte hit 2 3-pointers in this quarter. There was one that was like a really nice save. I'm not sure who it was that saved it, but that was cool. Apparently, Karis LeVert played. I didn't know that, but he only played 15 minutes. I hope because minutes restriction and not because he got injured again. I pray that's what that is. But yeah, Chris Duarte also had a really good pass up the court to Jeremy Lamb for a 3-pointer. But yeah, I didn't have a lot of takeaways from this game. I watched it, wasn't much to say. Found it interesting that Goga Bitadze, or Bitadze, I don't know how you say his fucking last name. I was surprised that he was getting minutes late in the fourth quarter in a close game. Doesn't really seem like he has a place on this team and hasn't for the last is it 3? It's 3 seasons now, right? I hope he gets traded to a team that like actually has opportunity for him. But yeah, I don't understand why he was in the game late when you have Sabonis and Miles Turner. Did Miles fouled out? No, he didn't. Sabonis had a lot of fouls, but he was still playing late. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't have any thoughts on that game, really. It just, I watched the fourth quarter. There was not much to take away from it. But yeah, that is it. That was a long fucking winded video, but goodbye.